The whole purpose of this presentation is to talk about marketing during a crisis. And, the good news is in Canada, we haven't really had to market through a crisis as realtors in a pretty significant amount of time. I mean, there's a minor crisis in Alberta in 2008 and then again in 2009, but nothing compared to what happened in the US in 2000, 2008, 2009. And I was pretty lucky. I got to spend a lot of time in the States during those years, especially talking to different mortgage people and different real estate companies. And what I've been doing is I've been reaching out over the last couple of weeks and asking those people that I met along the way what they did during those times and what we should be doing. And most of the inspiration I get when I think about how we build our mortgage business doesn't actually come from mortgage experts or come from mortgage trainers. I typically move towards real estate trainers and to trainers who do training in other industries. And what I try to do is I try to bring best practices from real estate and best practices from other industries and apply them to our mortgage company, which I think is why Mortgage 360 has been such an innovative company, and why we were able to be the first B Corp certified mortgage company in North America and the first 1% for the planet member mortgage company in North America. And it's just taking from outside the industry helps. And the nice side effect for that for me is having been certified with Ninja Selling and dealing with a lot in real estate and training in the US is I've got a pretty good understanding. And I've also ran a real estate company here in Calgary. I ran Maxwell Realty, the corporate office for a year back in 2014. So, or 2013, I don't remember what year it was. Now they're all starting to run into each other. But I think that creates a unique position where I can kind of give some insight and share with you what the people who are talking to me are sharing with me. And huge congrats to you guys. There's 9 people on this call right now. There's 6. We've been at 9, we've been at 15, we've been at 25. As time goes on, we're starting to see the numbers drop. And I think that's interesting, because what that means is that more than likely people are starting to get scared and they're starting to not step up in the same way they were before. So congrats to you guys on stepping up. A crisis is one of those things that it will either expose you or promote you. You will either be exposed as for what you are and go back to the previous habits you had, or you will find ways to improve and get better. And what I hope for everybody who's here is doing is they're finding ways to promote themselves and become better at their craft and find ways to be creative and work through this pandemic. And for me, I'm scared. I'm scared for people like my parents. My mom's a type 1 diabetic. My dad's a type 2 diabetic. I'm scared for our family and our friends in our family. We just found out that one of Jen's good friends lost her father today. A few weeks ago, we found out that one of the first deaths in BC was another good friend of ours, grandmother's. And that part scares me. But when it comes to business, I've never been more excited than I am right now. Like, this is the time where, as mortgage people, as real estate people, as business owners, we get the chance to be creative and thrive. And, for me, I've always done well in tough markets. And the reason I do well in tough markets is because for me, this is interesting. Like, how do we find a way to go so far above and beyond for our clients and do so much more that we can't help but get better? And, we're lucky to be in this industry, because the fact of the matter is, no matter what's happening, people are always buying and selling homes. There's always going to be forced movement. I can give you examples of this in our book of business. This week, we've had a client who is, or a couple who is 65 years old. They are retired. Their father or father-in-law, their father is retired, but they want their father to be closer to them. So they're buying a house that they can live in with their 90-year-old father. And they're basically moving so that they can take care of him and make sure he's taken care of. That's forced movement, right? We've seen people who, their landlords became the absolute worst people of the worst people that you could possibly imagine, and they're moving and buying a house in order to get out of it. Have a really good friend who is, he's been in a relationship for 2 or 3 years, just got a puppy, but he's from Ireland, and he wasn't sure if he was going to stay in Canada. And what he's realized over the last couple of weeks is that being with his spouse, who works in hospitals and who's a nurse, And seeing what she's doing has made him fall so deeply in love with her that he can't imagine ever going home, and they're purchasing right now. So there's always going to be people who are finding a reason to buy or sell, people who need to upsize, people who need to downsize. And unfortunately, there's going to be people who need to sell for financial reasons as well. And where we stand at this moment is we are lucky to be in the industry that we're in, because we are going to continue to have a means to earn an income. Yes, potentially there's going to be a smaller pie, especially depending on how long this lasts, but there's going to be a pie, and the question becomes, how do we go about getting a bigger share of that pie? And that's what I've been talking to different people throughout the industry over the last couple of weeks about. And I was on a call with Gary Morris, who's the CEO of Dominion Lending Centers, who's the biggest mortgage brokerage in mortgage company in Canada outside of the banks. And we're having a conversation about us potentially moving over to his organization, his network. And the reason why is, quite frankly, because he's stepped up. He's doing more now for his people and for the industry than anybody else in the industry. And it's just been incredible to see how a guy like that can, step up and have so much confidence in the fact that if he just does the right things and shares and puts one foot after the other every single day, that he's going to come out of this stronger. And quite frankly, he is. And he's attracting people because he's being positive, he's doing the right things, and he's giving people a light at the end of the tunnel, which is what we all need to be doing at this point in time, is giving people a light at the end of the tunnel. And quite frankly, we need to approach this not with a scarcity mindset, but an abundance mindset. How many more people can we start to help during this time of crisis? How many more people can we connect with? There's so much out there to be done. And quite frankly, I wouldn't want to be the guy who has built his business off of online leads, or built his business off of bus benches and flyer advertising right now, because quite frankly, people aren't going to gravitate towards the people that they don't know. They're going to find ways to find people that they can trust, because all they know from the flyer guy or the online leads guy is that guy has a vested interest in selling a house and may or may not actually care about them. So what they're going to start doing is they're going to start looking to their networks to find people and real estate agents and mortgage people that they actually can trust. We've already had, a few clients right now that are up for renewal that have come to us and been referred to us from their sphere of influence and said, listen, I just don't know what to do. I don't know if I can trust my old broker. I don't know if I can trust my banker. So you're the guy who so-and-so says I can trust. So tell me what I need to know. And that's what we're going to move to. We're going to move to a digital economy, and we're going to move even further into a trust economy. And that's why, we need to start rethinking our marketing and how we're doing things, and start doubling down on the things we know work, which is dealing with the people that we know, like, and trust. And there's always going to be opportunity, especially in this market. And the question is, who needs the help? If you can answer that question, who needs the help, you will find the deals, and you will succeed, and you will thrive through this market. And, the monopoly board, it's been shaken. And I don't mean the monopoly board of who owns the houses. I mean the monopoly board of the number one realtors, the number one market share people, the people who have basically owned the monopoly board, who have owned Boardwalk when it comes to doing business. Those people, it's never been easier to unseat them, and it's never been easier to become number one than it has been right now. And the way we do that is by understanding that the game has changed. It's no longer a selling and telling sort of business world. Right now, it is a serving business world. We need to stop selling, stop telling, and start serving people. And I don't mean like serving them in the terms of helping them sell their house and being and serving them in their real estate means. I mean serving them across the board, doing whatever we can to help them where they need help. And in most cases, if we can do it unexpectedly, that's where we're going to have the biggest gains. So here's one of the big quotes I got from Darren Hardy, who I've been following his stuff quite a bit. And Gary and I were talking about him this morning. he's one of the foremost business leaders in the world, and they've seen their business increase almost 200% over the last couple of weeks. And the reason why is this: it's when you show up for people when they're hurting, they will show up for you forever thereafter. And this could not be truer, right? Like, what our job right now is to show up for people when they need help. And it doesn't matter if they're going to buy, sell, or do a transaction now. We're planting the seeds for the future, and we're also planting the seeds that for when the people that they know need help, ask them for help, that they're pointing them in our direction. Here's a few ways that I've seen some people do this, showing up for people. This is a post from my trainer at the Glencoe. His name is Richard Gibney, and this was a gift that he received from Dennis Plintz. Dennis went out, got him. He knows he likes Guinness, knows his wife likes red wine, knows that they like the odd pasta meal, even though these guys are fitness fanatics, and basically went to Mercado, supporting a local business, picked up the food, brought it, delivered it to their house, and just created an unexpected treat for somebody in his sphere of influence who isn't even necessarily a client, but somebody who is getting his ass kicked right now because his business is fitness, and the place where he teaches fitness, which is the Glencoe, has been shut down for over a month. So, just stepping up and trying to lift Richard's spirits in a time of need. You guys probably all know this guy, Joel Gwillem, doing a couple of cool things, giving away books on his social accounts, and then delivering them, and also delivering care packages. Jen reached out to him, made some sort of joke on Instagram here a couple of weeks ago about White Claw and how everybody's talking about White Claw, and Jen couldn't find it. And sure enough, the very next day, Joel shows up with a freaking bag of White Claw, some vegan jerky, and some chips for Jackson. Like, absolutely unreal. Carlin, who's on this call, same sort of thing. Jen puts a comment about the fact that we're almost running out of wine, and we're almost out of cheese strings and A&W root beer. This is a 2-stop gift that Carlin made, right? He went to the liquor store and he went to Safeway in order to, be the white knight for somebody who put something out on Facebook and said, hey, it was joking, like Jen put this out jokingly, but Carlin stepped up and saw a place where he could be the white knight for somebody and made a huge impact on us from that perspective. So these are the types of things that people are doing, and this is where marketing is shifting to. And what we need to understand is that in these times, our new job is to be the chief happiness officer, the person who puts a smile on people's faces. Because quite frankly, websites, branding, bus benches, SEO, Google and Facebook ads, while they're cheaper than ever, they've never mattered less. Faceless advertising, and things that are done with people that we aren't connected with are only going to matter to the outliers. They aren't going to matter to the people who are looking for trusted advisors. So what we need is new strategies. And in Instagramming market stats is no longer a viable strategy, right? Like this is all I'm seeing right now. I'm seeing real estate agents post online, sales are down by 80%, prices are down by 9%, listings are down by this much. And they're posting it thinking that's what they're supposed to do because it's what they've always done. But they aren't realizing that the posts that they're delivering to the public are posts of negativity. And nobody wants to gravitate towards a realtor or mortgage broker right now who's being negative. Like, they just want nothing to do with them. In fact, I've heard at least twice this week people say, I had to unfollow so-and-so because they're being so negative about oil, about prices, about that. So this shit doesn't work anymore, right? Instagramming market stats in a bad market, bad idea, because it makes people feel bad. And all you're doing when you say that prices are down 9%, is you're telling the people that, if they had a $500,000 house, they now have a $450,000 house. And think about how that makes them feel. Don't do it. So here's what we need to do: is we need to come up with new strategies. And the most effective strategy right now is what we call the white knight strategy. And there's a couple of stories I like to tell about white knight strategies, but the one that stands out for me is a little company called Fiasco Gelato, who is actually no longer called Fiasco Gelato. They're called righteous gelato right now, because quite frankly, fiasco is a humiliating failure. That's the definition of fiasco. But righteous is a more exact definition of who Fiasco Gelato actually is. So their new branding is Righteous Gelato. And what a lot of people don't realize about Righteous Gelato and Fiasco Gelato is that the reason why they became successful, the reason why they're one of the number one SKUs in the grocery aisle, in the frozen grocery aisle now, is because of what they did in a time of crisis. And that time of crisis was back in 2013 when we had the major floods in Calgary. And what Fiasco did was they met as a team and they said, how can we go and help our community? And when they started to look at it, everybody in Calgary who needed help was actually being helped, because that's just how Calgary rolls. Like, people step up, right? But the one place that needed assistance that wasn't getting it, because they weren't dealing with people, they were dealing with animals, was the Calgary Zoo. So James went to the zoo and said, hey, we want to create two gelatos for you. We want to create Bananimal Cracker, which was banana and animal cracker gelato. And we want to create High Water Hippo, which was a blueberry sorbetto. What we want to do is we want to package them together, and then we want to sell them, and we want to give you a percentage of the proceeds. And the zoo was like amazing, like so on point, so perfect from a branding perspective, and from an animal perspective. Like, what they needed was money for food, and by selling food, they were going to get it. Like, it was perfect. And they went and they packaged everything up, and they made the gelato. They put it all together, and James went to the people at the zoo and said, hey, do you have any partners we could sell this through? Because we can sell it through a website, we can sell it through you guys, but if we could find some partners to sell it through, we might be able to sell more. And the zoo said, actually, you know what, we do have a big partner that might be able to help us with this. And it was Calgary Co-op, because Calgary Co-op actually provided a lot of the meat to the Calgary Zoo for feeding the animals. And with one phone call, Fiasco Gelato went from, being only serving restaurants and, providing a little bit of normal retail sales, to selling out these two SKUs in co-op and selling out pretty much everything, including pizza pops. And then what ended up happening was the co-op came back to them after everything was sold out and said, this worked pretty good. Maybe what we can do is we can start selling some of your other products. And that's what happened. And to this day, Fiasco Gelato, and now Righteous Gelato, is one of the top selling frozen items at Calgary Co-op. And they are across the country in almost 2,000 grocery stores. And it all happened because they were the white knight for the Calgary Zoo in a time of crisis. And, there's story after story after story of companies that do the right thing and ultimately end up doing more business as a result of it. For us, our white knight story is back in 2018 on Earth Day, we decided we were going to go completely paperless, not because it was the cool thing to do, but because it was the right thing to do. We also implemented some policies within our organization around waste, and both at our home offices and our offices, our corporate office. And the reason why we were doing it was because we wanted to become the first B Corp certified mortgage company in North America, and the first 1% for the planet mortgage company in North America. And back last year, we ended up doing both of those things, becoming the first mortgage company to join both of those organizations, both who are amazing companies who use business as a force for good. Like, other members are Tom Shoes and Patagonia and Method Cleaners and Seventh Generation. And the interesting side effect for that was, when all this pandemic stuff happened, there was a lot of mortgage companies out there that were prepared, and there was even more that weren't. But because of what we had done 2 years earlier in order to do what's right for the environment, we were set to go completely online and completely digital just at the flip of a switch. All we had to do was turn on one software, and we were good to go. So it just goes to show that doing the right thing ends up compounding, and good compounds on good and compounds on good. And as a result, you end up with stronger businesses. So the question right now is, how do we become the white knight for our clients and for our database? And what's important to realize is that when you think about that monopoly board, which is real estate agents, it's way easier right now, when this whole thing's been shaken, to unseat the number one when the times are tough than it is when times are easy, right? When times are good, it's really hard to take out the number one guy. But when times are tough, it becomes really easy to steal market share. And how you win in the startup market is 100% dependent on how you show up. How you show up is everything. It's do I want to be the negative guy who posts negative stats, or do I want to be the positive guy who creates solutions? And if you can be the guy who creates solutions, that will help you, you know, steal market share and grow your business even when times are tough. And all that matters now is your visibility with those who already know, like, and trust you. That's it. All you have to do is be more visible and do things that matter for the people who already know you, and your business will flourish and they will talk about you. Also, your ability to provide solutions. And right now, what we're realizing is that the best form of marketing is not necessarily to provide mortgage or real estate solutions. It's to provide solutions like what Carlin and Joel are doing, which is things outside of real estate. And by doing those things outside of real estate, we're going to be prepared to catch the people who are in that forced move scenario that always happens even in the worst of times. So there's never been a more perfect time to tighten up your book of business. And, you know, my experience with real estate and running a 400-person real estate company is, you know, people always talk about their database, but they don't talk about their book of business. And it's one and the same. Your database is your ability to earn income. And, you know, a lot of times we put it to the side. We start doing the bus benches. We start doing the, you know, the real estate webmasters website. We start doing the Google leads, and we totally forget about our database. But this is where the gold exists, and it exists in good times, but it is critical in bad times. This selling more and selling to the people that already know you, selling to the people that already know you is the easiest way to earn more income. It's way easier to sell than selling to people that don't know you. And the way we sell in these times is not by selling, it's literally by serving. So here's what marketing in real estate in 2020 looks like. It's phone calls, it's text messages, it's check-ins, and then it's offering assistance and it's offering value. You know, I look at offering assistance, what Carlin did with the wine, over the top, absolutely such a cool thing to do. What Dennis did with the meals, cool thing to do. What Gary Morris is doing by setting up seminars that anybody in the industry can watch with David Shilton, who's the wealthy barber, and Adam Contos, who's the CEO of Remax. Actually, he's the president of Remax, and Darren Hardy. You know, offering value and, you know, giving tips and doing things like that is so much more effective than anything else right now. Well, I'll give you a couple of things that we're doing right now. We are putting together a recipe book. I've gotten my entire team. They've given me their favorite recipes, both alcohol related and food related, and we're compiling that into a recipe book. We've hired a guy off of Fiverr to do it. It's costing us $25, and all we have to do is send him the links to the recipes. He's making it on brand just by looking at our website. And it's something that, you know, we're going to be able to give to all of our real estate partners and give to all of our clients, because we know right now people are eating more and more at home. And what a lot of people are in search of is really simple recipes that actually work. And we just happen to know what a few of those are. So we're offering value by sharing those. And, you know, making service calls to clients, and, you know, these are just calls where we're calling people and we're saying, hey, it's Nolan. Just want to check in, see how you're doing. And half the time the people are going, Nolan who? Like, who are you? And because we're consciously not saying it's Nolan from Mortgage 360, because when I say Mortgage 360, it seems like, oh, might be a sales call. But then I'll say, hey, Nolan from Mortgage 360. And you go, oh, okay. And I just say, hey, we're just checking in, want to see how you guys are doing. I wanted to see if there's anything that we could do to help you out. Like, are you good? Do you have groceries? Can you go out? Do you have everything that you need? And, you know, some of the time it turns into a mortgage conversation. More often than not, it doesn't. It just turns into a conversation about what their kids are doing, what their family's doing, and how life is. And it's nothing more than a check-in. And we've seen this already, where we have clients who call us 2 or 3 days later and say, hey, my aunt or my friend or my brother is looking for a mortgage. Do you think you can help them out? And all we did was call to check in on them. But here's the key piece, right? Most people are still afraid to do this. They aren't stepping up to do this because calling your database has always been about selling, and people are afraid to be that guy who sells. But if you're thinking that you're afraid, it's because you're thinking about yourself, not about them. This is the time where if all you do is go, okay, I'm picking up the phone and I'm going to call Dan Stewhauer because I just want to see how he's doing. And I just want to make sure that he's okay. And you're thinking about them, picking up that phone becomes so easy. And when we're picking up that phone, the key thing is that our job is now to cultivate smiles. That's it. That's all you have to do. Find ways to make people smile. Unexpected gifts, sending them jokes via email, sending them jokes via text messages or memes. Just finding, getting on the phone with them and just checking in, see how they're doing, and helping them know that there's people out there that care about them is all our job is. And the sales will follow as a result, and we don't even have to try. Like, what a great time to be in sales, especially in real estate or mortgages. All you have to do is call and see how people are doing, and sales will show up. You have to do nothing more. And on top of that, on top of making calls and doing, the things to check in on people, we're practicing two things right now, and it's surprise and delight and shock and awe. And it's pretty cool because Monzi Lopez, who's a great mortgage broker, used to be with Scotiabank, is on this call. And the great thing about what I'm sharing right now, and normally I'd be hesitant about sharing what we're doing and how we're acting and our strategic things that we're doing to do business, I would normally be hesitant about sharing that. But right now, I'm not competing with other mortgage brokers. I'm not competing with banks, because everything we're doing is with the people that we have direct connections to. We don't need to worry about sharing our ideas and having them do the same marketing to the exact same people we're marketing to, because we're only marketing to the people that we know. So a couple of things that we're doing is, surprise and delight, shock and awe. So how do you surprise and delight people? We've sent cookies to different people that have applied for mortgages recently. We have, we're in the process of going through, and this is a good one for you guys, going through our database, and we have data on who likes wine in our database. So what we did is we went to a liquor company that we deal with quite frequently, and we said, hey, do you guys have anything that's under $10 a bottle that's decent, that we can give to all of our clients? And what was interesting was the response we got from the liquor store was, oh, do we have stuff under $10 a bottle that we can sell you? We have a ton of it. Because it turns out that the restaurants who normally would have ordered those things didn't take delivery of them. So, now we're helping a local liquor store, a local business, get rid of some of their supply that was supposed to be sold to restaurants. They're helping us out by giving it to us as a good deal. And all we're going to do is go and drop it on people's doors who we know love wine, with a note that says, we hope you're doing well. And to do this for 200 clients is going to cost us $2,000, and there's no way that we're not getting the money back. And by the way, if you can get any of the government subsidy stuff, spending $2,000 right now in order to make sure that everyone remembers you and everyone's surprised and delighted is the best advertising and marketing investment you will ever make. Other things that we're doing, there's a cool little company called Taco Canteen that is a restaurant that just started in February, and maybe it's been a little bit longer than that. Actually, it was in the fall, and they've been doing Sunday supper. So in the past, what we've done is, with our clients who are getting approvals, we've sent them a gift card to their favorite restaurant. Well, okay, now I have a problem with sending a gift card to a favorite restaurant, because I can't be sure that restaurant's going to be open by the time they get a chance to use it. I could just be shooting money to a company that is just throwing it in the pockets of the owner and is done. So what we decided to do is we're going to start sending Sunday supper to the clients who get mortgages through us. And we're just going to surprise them and say, hey, by the way, Sunday dinner's on us. And these dinners that Taco Canteen is putting together are insanely good. Like, there's enough food there to feed 8 people. It comes with righteous gelato, and it looks like it's a $200 dinner that costs $60. But it's something that we can do that will surprise people, takes a little bit of cooking pressure off of them, and then also supports a local business and is a meal that is almost like a meal they got from a restaurant, but it's something that they can enjoy at home. We're also doing this with different groups of friends that we have, sending all of our friends Sunday supper on the same day at the same time so we can get on a Zoom call and all have dinner with them. So doing things like that are, you know, like I said, best marketing dollars that we will ever send. And most importantly is, you know, being the positivity they seek, you know, not being negative, bringing people up in these times. That, you know, lifting people's spirits is just as valuable as sending them a $60 dinner, or sending them gelato, or sending them wine. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to go through, and any clients that have kids, we're also sending them gelato as well. So something for the kids. And the nice thing about this is, you know, over the last 6 weeks, we stopped gifting, we stopped delivering stuff. And the reason why was because we weren't sure about contamination and, you know, spreading germs. Now what we know is that pretty much everybody's been conditioned to sanitize their food. We know that once it's sanitized, that the chances of picking up something are slim to none, especially if you've washed your hands afterwards. So now we're feeling more confident about, you know, sending things and surprising and delighting our clients and our past clients and the people that we know, like, and trust. And then on top of that, you know, thinking ahead and being creative, you know, who can I create relationships with during these times that are the gatekeepers for what's about to happen. So, you know, the relocation people, how can I, you know, surprise and delight and shock and awe them? The people who are going to have access to the foreclosures, how can we build our relationships right now with them? Because what you can pretty much rest assured is that most of the people that they're dealing with right now, or that they have been dealing with in the past, are starting to disappear on them in the exact same way that we're starting to see people disappear from these calls. We're starting to see people disappear from the industry, and we will see people disappear from the industry. You know, 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I showed you guys a graph of what happens in this sort of market, how, you know, the amount of income decreases, and as a result, the amount of real estate agents and mortgage brokers decrease. And then all of a sudden, when the amount of income increases again, there's going to be a whole bunch of us that all we had to do was make it through and we'll thrive. And that's what we need to be thinking about right now, is how do we plant the seeds for today, but also plant the seeds for tomorrow. You know, if I was a real estate agent right now, I'd be finding out who handles all the relocations. I'd be finding out who handles all the foreclosures for the banks. I'd be finding out who the people are who handle insolvency. And I would just be reaching out to them and saying, hey, Nolan's my name. Here's what I do. I know that times are tough, but when you need something, I'm going to be the person that is here for you and that you can rely upon. And also do your best to try to find out as much as you can about them. Use those Ford questions, you know, asking them about family, occupation, recreation, dreams, and then surprise and delight. You would be surprised how far a $60 dinner could go right now with a bankruptcy lawyer, and how much business that could potentially create 6 to 12 months down the road just for $60. And, you know, key thing here is remembering, you know, when you show up for people when they're hurting, they will show up for you forever after that. And there's so much opportunity right now that it's crazy. People don't get that there's opportunity because they are scared, because all of us are scared. But if you can just find ways to be creative, think about your marketing and do more, you know, and not get caught in the sidelines, but, you know, get in that fast flowing river of opportunity. There's huge opportunity. You know, right now, one of the big concerns is restaurants. And I want to give you guys this example as well. There's a restaurant called Calia in Seattle, which is like ground zero for COVID in the US. And it was a fine dining establishment. They typically serve about 70 to 80 people per day. And when they saw this thing coming, they went, okay, what isn't changing? And what isn't changing for a restaurant is that people still need to eat. And they said, okay, so what are we good at? Well, we're good at getting amazing food to people who want to eat. Okay, so how under our new circumstances can we do that? And what they did is they created 3 pop-up stores. they created a pop-up pizza joint, a pop-up bagel joint, and a pop-up burger joint, all three being served under the same kitchen. And they went from being a high-end restaurant that served 70 to 80 customers per day to serving over 1,500 people per day, just by understanding that, one, people still needed to eat. In our case, people still need to buy and sell houses. Understanding what they were really good at, which was getting amazing food to people. What are we really good at? I think for Mortgage 360, we're amazing at creating exceptional experiences. And that's what we're continuing to do. That's what shock and awe is. And that's what surprise and delight is. And for a realtor, it might be, maybe they're great listers, maybe they're great at buyers, whatever it is for you, whatever that thing that you're exceptional at is. Or for stagers, making spaces beautiful. People have a lot of time on their hands right now, just thinking from a staging perspective. And if I was in the staging world, what I would be doing right now, knowing that I'm probably not going into a lot of homes like I did before, is I'd be putting out content and videos, and maybe even offer consulting on how to do spring cleaning and how to make a house go from here to here. Because right now what people are thinking is, I'm doing this, I'm sitting at home going, I hate how messy my office is, and I hate how much stuff's in my office that doesn't need to be there, and I just want to get rid of it all. And then that's planting the seeds for down the road. So just getting creative, and then for Calia, going to 1,500 customers per day. Like, their problem now, because they were creative and they were thinking ahead of the curve, is, do we actually want to go back to being a high-end restaurant? And I think that's what we want to do right now, is find ways to serve our clients and serve our database that ultimately really makes us rethink, do I really want to go back to doing business the way I was doing it before? Or is there a way better way? And what's the way better way? So to summarize the whole thing, marketing 2020 during this crisis, and it's looking like it's going to be a while that we're in this. It's all about, how do we show up for the people we know? How do we get the people we know to talk about us with the people that they know? And by the way, that shock and awe strategy, that delivering the wine, people post on Instagram, that's one of the best ways. Like Joel Gwillem right now, I guarantee you, is killing it, because everybody is posting online about what he's doing and the stuff he's bringing and how he's showing up for people. That's what we want, is we want to do things that are so memorable and so amazing that our clients and the people that we know can't help but talk about us with the people that they know. Because busboards, benches, websites, none of that shit matters now. What matters is how visible we are to the people that know, that like us, that know and like us, and how much they're talking about us to the people that they know, like, and trust. And that's it. Like, none of this stuff is rocket science. Success and wealth building is all about continually going back to the basics and continually refining skills. And that's what we're doing here today, is we're going back to basics, understanding what works, knowing where the gold is, and doing everything we can to mine it. Cool. What are you guys' thoughts? What are you guys doing? I'll take this off of here so I can see you guys.
Hey, Nolan, Carlin here. Just wanted
Carlin.
to chime in on one thing. I think that you've made a lot of great points today about that kind of going for the shock and wow. And as you know, with me being with McDonald's for almost 20 years before getting into real estate, a big parameter of their business was being built on things that they call magic moments. And one of the things that we were conditioned to do, and I still do this to that very day, and the wine for you as an example, is you can't always plan out how to make those special moments. In the case of where you're delivering wine, you can do it as more of a guided approach. But some of the really neatest ones that you can do is when you see an opportunity and you just act on that alone, whether it's just you see a Facebook status or you see someone in public or something, and then you just act on that instant small piece of what you've just been given, and you make that special moment that wasn't planned, that is going for the wow. So for everyone on the call, look into your circles for some of that. Maybe it's during your conversations while you are following up, or asking how somebody is doing and they say, oh, this is going on in my life. If you have an answer to how to solve that problem or how to make them feel special, act on that specific small moment and you'll be very surprised at what you get out of it.
Absolutely. And that's what you did for us, right? Like, you acted on that small moment. You didn't have to go to the liquor store and go to Safeway and like make my kid's day with A&W root beer and cheese strings, but you freaking did. And I mean, those are the things that people remember. And it's, you know, it's funny because you bring up McDonald's, and you know, McDonald's learned one of its hardest lessons in the 80s when the financial crisis happened back then. And the reason why was because McDonald's got scared for a while, and they actually pulled back. They pulled back their marketing, they pulled back their advertising. And at the same time, Taco Bell and Burger King, they saw opportunity. They went, okay, things are tough, but this is our chance to break free. And during those times, Taco Bell and Burger King, they increased their market share a ton because they doubled down. And McDonald's actually ended up losing a significant amount of market share and had to essentially rethink their business. But that's the thing about McDonald's, right? Is McDonald's is spectacular at constantly reinventing themselves when they need to. And now you look at them and they're still the strongest brand out there. And every single time there's a crisis, they find a way to do better and better and better. Same things back in the 1920s, just before the Great Depression there, Post was the number one cereal brand in the business. And, you know, crisis happened, Great Depression happened, and Post pulled back all their marketing dollars, and they said, okay, we need to cool our jets a little bit because we don't know what's going to happen. And meanwhile, Kellogg's, this new company, comes out with these three little elves, and they create Rice Krispies, and they double down on their marketing efforts. And now Kellogg's, for the last almost 90 years, has dominated Post, right? Because they took advantage of these down markets. And, you know, I fully believe that in most real estate offices in Calgary, we're going, in at least half of the real estate offices in Calgary, I wouldn't say most, because there's going to be a lot of number one realtors who double down during times like this. But I think there's going to be a lot of offices where you see the number one realtor change because the number one guy goes, I'm scared, I need to pull back on my marketing budgets because I'm spending too much. And you're going to see the number two, number three, number four guys go, this is my chance. We're already seeing that in some of the offices. I've noticed that, you know, there's some people that have never showed up number one in a real estate office ever. And for March and February, all of a sudden they're showing up, March and April, they're showing up as the number one, number two realtors. And it's because they're seeing that opportunity. So the question is, how do we keep our foot on the gas? You know, we don't want to be Post, we want to be Kellogg's. What else are you guys seeing?
In our group, I am in Calgary the president of the Real Estate Staging Association chapter. And normally we come together once a month as home stagers that are within that association. And I have decided to do kind of like, I was inspired by you, Nolan, that you've done this. I host a coffee every Tuesday morning with all the stagers of Calgary. Just, you know, give them information on the new things that are happening, but also create community. And we are inviting a speaker every week that is actually related, like within our community. So we've had we had a physiotherapist come in to teach us how to sit behind our desk. And we had a real estate photographer come in, talk about his perspective on our staging. And so we're trying to get people on board to share their information with us and how we could be creative differently. And that has been really amazing.
Amazing. Absolutely incredible. You know, it's another thing I didn't even think about sharing this, but I will share it. You know, we've been doing a lot of videos trying to deliver value. Like this is recorded. We'll put it out on our YouTube channels and whatnot. You know, as a result of just doing that, of putting good information out there, Forbes reached out to me this week and asked me to join their Forbes Business Council because they're seeing what we're doing and being positive and how we're trying to transform our business into the future. So, you know, just doing good things and putting good things out there has these huge side effects that that pay off, 10 to 100-fold. Right now, like in our business, I'm not looking for the opportunities that increase our business by 1x or 2x. I'm looking for the 10x and the 100x opportunities. How do we get so significantly larger and so significantly better that we look back on this pandemic as just a blip on the radar? Anybody else have any other white knight strategies? The one I forgot to mention about Fiasco is, here's a good one for you. So Fiasco knew that they were going to change their name on April 15th. What they didn't know was how they were going to do it, how they were going to launch it, what the press release was going to look like. Because, and this is going back to January when they knew they were going to do this. So, they were trying to come up with strategies for how to launch the righteous name. And then this pandemic hits. Well, what James did is he said to his team, how do we do something for the community? How do we be the white knights in this pandemic? And what they did was they sent 10,000 single serves to the nurses and doctors all across the Alberta Health region. Now, what a way to launch a new name for a gelato company, right? Because they didn't have to talk about it. Righteous didn't have to go to everybody and say, hey, we've changed our name, because all they did was send gelato to all the nurses and said, by the way, new name, same great product. Thanks for being you and doing what you're doing. And all the nurses, all the doctors, and I'm pretty sure a lot of it got shared with patients. Everybody in those hospitals was talking about Righteous. And as a result, they got a pretty significant amount of press, all by just doing something good for the community instead of trying to go out and buy advertising or buy PR.